almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
Now, this is one of those conspiracies that I'm sure most people are like, I've heard probably everything there is to hear about the JFK assassination. I've got it all figured out. I've heard all the different angles, all the different theories. But what if you didn't? Okay, what if there's a story that's not only more based in truth than you can ever imagine, but it's a side of the story that you've never heard? Because there's a lot to the story that isn't even available in a lot of these JFK assassination theories. And interesting enough, if you guys don't realize, the term conspiracy theorist comes from actually the CIA coined the term conspiracy theorist. It came out of the JFK assassination. So they used it to describe and dismiss people that were coming up with all types of wild conspiracies, they called it, for what had happened with his assassination. But before we dive into today's show, a few announcements. First and foremost, want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors over at Prima, helping us join the fight against fake food. Again, people, get rid of the fake ingredients, the fake food. No fake ingredients, no seed oils, straight beef tallow, great ingredients. If you're carnivore, these are definitely the bars for you. When I was doing strict carnivore for a while, I couldn't find anything without oats and all the stuff in it. If you're mainly carnivore, this is the bar for you right here. But yeah, great stuff. And you guys, I'm telling you, between the supporters out there that have been subscribing, I've been seeing you guys that have subscribed lately. And I don't know, let me know. I've heard it from multiple people saying they're having problems subscribing. So please let me know and document that. Send me proof of it if you can. Because I'm definitely going to be looking into that. There's been people subscribing, so I don't know if it's maybe certain people can't, because I've been seeing subscribers coming in the last few days, so I'm not sure if it's on certain people's end or what. But yeah, if you guys are having issues, let me know about that. But yeah, between subscribing and the sponsors, you guys are what keeps the show running. You guys, like I said, I don't do it for the money, I do it for the truth, but they essentially have me shadow banned at the moment to where they're trying to pull the content down. So like, comment, subscribe, share. Everything helps to get the word out there and to keep the truth alive. So you guys are much appreciated, all that you guys do. Everybody out there that supports the channel. You guys are the reason why I'm at where I'm at right now. So God comes first. God is the main reason. But below that, it's you guys. And I love all you guys. I appreciate all the support, all the fan mail, everything. Like I said, without you guys, the channel wouldn't be where it's at right now. So I appreciate all you guys. As always, like I said, Prima, they're great over at Prima. Great, great company. And like I said, if it's not something that I support, that I actually eat myself, I'm not going to pitch it to nobody. I've made that very clear. But again, shout out to Prima. Shout out to the fans. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Go subscribe to the YouTube. Go subscribe or go follow the TikTok. We got back on TikTok for as long as they're going to leave me on there before they probably try to remove me from there too. So we'll see what happens. Oh, and also I wanted to mention, I apologize. I got the date screwed up. It was April 23rd. Thursday, April 23rd is the Tommy Truthful discussion that we're going to be doing on the Eyes Open podcast. So I got it mixed up with yesterday, but it was actually, I looked at it again. I'm like, oh, that's my bad. It's the 23rd. So next Thursday, Tommy Truthful April Rituals episode. You guys are going to want to check it out. It's going to be really interesting. So be sure to tune in for that. Put your notifications on. Make sure you guys got all. I think you could favorite the page too, where you'll be able to see everything come up. Because like I told you, if they're shadow banning and starting to pull stuff down a little bit down the algo, then that's what's going to happen. You guys are probably just going to have to check back to be able to see the episode. But as far as, this is one of the ultimate talked about conspiracies, in my opinion. It's the one that it's been surrounding the conspiracy circles before even I was somebody who ran a show or even thought about running a show. I'm talking about, this was before I was really ever, reading about William Cooper and watching his work and listening to his work, and known about Alex Jones and a lot of the stuff. I still remember how I fell upon Alex Jones was through the whole Bohemian Grove thing. Which, for the people who don't remember that, he snuck into Bohemian Grove, supposedly, snuck in with a family that was over there, and he got a picture of the big stone owl that they all worship. And that's how I fell upon Alex Jones. But yeah, before even Alex Jones days, before I got to know who William Cooper was, before, any of that, when I really didn't even know about Illuminati and any of that type of stuff, I knew about the JFK assassination because I used to hear my parents talk about it. It's one of the biggest conspiracy theories of our generation. And Trump said he was supposed to release the files on it. I guess Jackie O's dress didn't they say they're not going to release it till like 2090 or something? They have it locked up somewhere. So I find that interesting because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people wanting to do some analysis, blood analysis on that dress. But, and there's a million theories that are out there. There's some that are just, there's some that are plausible. There's some that are just based in, rhetoric that's not true. It's just not there. Like, there's a guy going around saying that it was actually the driver who shot him, and that's just not true. Because I can tell you this, okay? In this show, I'm going to go pretty deep with you guys on stuff. I'm going to go deep with you in stuff from people that actually know down to the group of people that carried out this hit. All right, I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to explain it to you. So, and it's not for the reasons you'd think. So, think about this. JFK was elected into office, all right? Now, that's before, I want to premise with this. It's before the times of now, okay? This is still back when, if you played by the rules, they'd elect you in, and the agendas were starting to get put into place. So, it's the early 60s. So there was still, in a sense, these agendas were being formed that we're going into now. They were formed probably back since Jekyll Island, but what I'm saying is you could still get in if you said you were a part of the club. If you played along, they'd get you in. JFK was very charismatic. He was a great speaker. So the elite saw, something in him to put him into office. But now, I just think it's absolutely laughable if you believe that you can get into these circles, that you could even get up there to be able to run for president of the United States. If you believe that and think that these people can get up there and really make a change, like Trump, they're like, oh man, he's gonna save the day. Trump's gonna come and save the day, and he's behind the scenes working to save America. You people are delusional, okay? Straight up. I'm just telling you straight the facts, okay? You do not get to these levels without being in the club. Period. Okay? It's like saying that, it's their game that they created, right? They're not going to even let you into the league to play that game. So how are you going to get elected? How are you going to get up at these areas? Like, you guys can't tell me you're that delusional. And then it's like Trump questions the elections, says they were fraudulent, but then goes and runs again. So if the elections are fraudulent, why would you run for office again under a fraudulent system? He calls out the system, but then runs under the same system. It makes zero sense. It makes sense when you realize they're all pitching you guys a load of crap. But under this system, okay, under the old system, when you still had paper ballots, you still had, they didn't have this digital stuff that they got going on now. Back then, you just had to agree to do what the elite wanted you to do. Now, John F. Kennedy, he was elected big time because of the mafia. All right. They helped by getting their union people involved. Okay. The mafia had a big influence on getting JFK elected. Big influence on getting him elected. So the mafia was definitely involved in getting him into office by persuading everybody to vote. So back then, I'm sure maybe your vote counted back then. So maybe that's why like I said, the system wasn't in place yet to where they can completely just throw whoever they want in front of you, and that's who you're going to vote for. But then again, you got to remember, Kennedy goes back. Okay, it's they're all of a royal bloodline. These people, that's already been proven. These presidents are all related. That's proof. That's something that some freaking high school kid did an experiment about and proved that they're all related. So essentially, they agreed. They said, so they're telling him, Mr. Kennedy, we will get you into office. The elite's telling him, you just have to go along with the plans of what we want you to do. All right. So essentially, he gets to be president. But when they tell him to do something, whether it's carried down through his generals, whether it's carried down through his liaisons, whatever it is, he has to do what he's told by the people that stand behind the curtain. So what had happened was they expected him to go into Vietnam. They expected him probably to invade Cuba. Because with all the stuff, Operation Northwoods, they're trying to pull off to get us to invade Cuba. All of his. So during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy, if he would have listened to the generals, they would have probably got us into a huge conflict with Cuba, and it would have been bad because they had missiles. According to what it shows, they had missiles pointed directly at Florida. So that situation could have turned very bad. But here's this man that's elected by promising to do what the elites want him to do. All right. And he had to play ball because, for example, for the people that know, he hated Lyndon Johnson. All right. They were totally against each other. Just like, for example, and you'll see this in politics as it plays along, Bush and Reagan hated each other. Okay. They hated each other. They ended up becoming running mates. And then you see what happened. They tried to take out Reagan, and who would have succeeded him? It would have been Bush. So Bush was supposed to get in earlier than he did. Now, interesting enough that I mentioned that, guess who was the director of the CIA when Kennedy was assassinated? George Bush Sr. But that's plays a part in this. But the big thing is this. Okay, he made a deal. They make these deals, whether you're a celebrity, whether you're president, whatever, they make deals that they have to go along with certain things. They have to play with the agenda. If they don't play along with the agenda, they will take you out. Okay, in one way, shape, or form or another, they'll take you out. Now, with Kennedy, he would not go into Cuba. He would not go into Vietnam. He even said, if we're not going to invade Cuba, that's right there, why would I go into Vietnam that's halfway across the world? Why would I send men and women in there? So he, like I said, him and Lyndon Johnson hated each other. They did not like each other. But in order for him to get in, he had to play along and let Lyndon Johnson get in as vice president. Because that's how essentially I believe they keep an eye on these figures. So when Kennedy went rogue in a sense, all right, stopped going along with what they wanted him to do, they knew they had to take him out. And it's for multiple reasons. One thing is, you can go look up this quote, and I'll paraphrase here when I say this quote, but John F. Kennedy said, essentially, first he said that secrecy in an open and free society is repugnant. And essentially, we have a tendency to go towards secret societies and secret oaths. And he was explaining about these secret societies. He was exposing them. So if you even go look up the speech, put JFK speech on secret societies, you'll see it. So he was exposing these people. He was saying the things that he shouldn't have been saying out loud. Like they say, oh yeah, don't say that part out loud. He was actively doing that. So he was pissing off the people that put him in power. They're like, hey, you shouldn't be talking about that. Now, mind you, not only did he say that, here's another quote you can go look up of what John F. Kennedy said is, he said, there is an agenda in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. And before I leave this high and noble office, I will get to the bottom of it. And this was made like right before he got killed too. But it was literally a convergence of multiple circumstances, okay? It was the fact of, like I said, he wasn't going to war and all that. That's the story that I'm sure everybody knows of, okay? So people can say, oh yeah, we know that. But here's some of the stuff that people might not know, okay? His murder that was carried out, okay, was done on the right date, right time, right city. Because if you look into Dallas falls right on those ley lines. All right. That's where they do all their occultic magic. It falls right on a ley line. He was killed at the apex of a pyramid. Okay. In Daley Plaza. They made sure he was at the apex of that pyramid because as the car went down and up and around, the best place to hit him would have been right at the bottom, right at the corner right there, the right corner if you're looking down at Daley Plaza. Lee Harvey Oswald would have got the best shot right there. But he waited till he got all the way up here to take the shot. And then, which goes to show there's multiple reasons. And they got people to believe this. They sold this to the public that it was one man doing the shooting when they already proved in order for the one man to do the shooting, the magic bullet theory would have to be true, where people know they're saying the bullet went through Kennedy, okay? It went through him, and it came back out and went through the guy in the front seat. So it like went through two people, turned around, and came back and hit him. So you have to believe in the magic bullet theory. So the stuff they get people to believe in is insane. That's the what the Warren report. That's the official report that they carried out, the government official report that they carried out in the Kennedy assassination, and they got people to buy that. I'm surprised that people did not like riot over that BS. But it wasn't just that proved that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy. You know, he was someone there to take the fall. Now, whether he was just another shooter could be possible, but based on what I've heard from people, which I'm going to get to, he was not the shooter, and it wasn't supposed to be planned that way. So he's making these claims about secret societies, doing stuff like that. He hated the C letter agency, the three letter, I'm trying not to say it, that starts with a C and ends with an A. He was going to dismantle them. Not only was he going to dismantle the CIA, there I go, the three-letter agency, but what he was going to do was multiple other things, all right? He was going to completely do away with the debt. He was going to do away with the Fed because instead of borrowing money from gold that we don't have, he was going to issue silver certificates for the silver that we did have. So if he would have done this, and he was signing it into law right before he died, if he would have done that, we would not be in the debt crisis that we're in right now in the United States. If this would have happened. And it would, but here's the thing is, look at who he was putting out of business. And this is fact. You can look it up. He was putting the Fed out of business. He was going to put the C letter agency out of business. The military industrial complex, he was going to start dismantling because he knew the power that was behind that. So he had so many people gunning for him, it wasn't even funny. Now you throw in the mix the fact that him and his brother Bobby were going after Hoffa and really stirring stuff up for the mafia. He had the mafia gunning for him. They couldn't stand the Kennedys at that point. So the C letter agency, which if people don't know, long time ago back in those days, had the mafia doing hits for them. The mafia is a mafia hitman carried out the hit on Kennedy, and it came from the railroad tracks over the fence. And if you watched the Zapruder film where he goes back and to the left, like they show it back and to the left, the shooter shot over the fence right there and hit him, packed up and moved on out. Now, this is verified by actual active gangsters that were there when the hit was put out. So that C-letter agency used the mob to do the hit for them. So it was, and they've already proven a ton of times, like, what's his name? Woody Harrelson's dad was a hitman for that C-letter agency. So they had, ties to the mafia, all types of people to carry out these types of hits for them. Because then in that case, they have plausible deniability, because if somebody does get caught or something goes south, they get these agencies say, wait, what? We didn't have nothing to do with that. They acted on their own. You see, we don't have no connection with no mafia. And that's why, essentially, because Jack Ruby had a deep connection with the mafia. That right there showed the mafia, that's what ties the mafia connection in, is Jack Ruby. And if you go watch when he got in that garage and shot him, they didn't only try to stop him, they stepped aside and let him get a clear shot at him. So they didn't try to stop him one bit from shooting Kennedy or shooting Lee Harvey Oswald, because they knew he had too much information that he could have let loose. So Jack Ruby, I was sad, so I went over there and did that. Nah, Jack Ruby had definite mafia ties. Everybody knows that. So he's the tie that shows the mafia was involved. All right. The fact that Kennedy's brother even got killed after that too. They didn't want no Kennedys running for president. They had enough of Kennedys. So that's why they say whenever a Kennedy comes out that actually is working against the system, they better watch out. Because Kennedy Jr., they made sure they took him out because there was talk of him running for office. So they already knew where that was going to go. But if people understand, there's so much mysticism that goes into this as well, like I told you. So, and he knew that. Kennedy knew that. That's why he signed executive order. Go look it up. It's 11-11, and it's a bunch of zeros in it, -11. It was all 11s. It was like 3 11s, okay? And he did that because he wanted, because see, what would 11 times 3 be? 33. He knew that they use numerology, okay, to do stuff. So he was trying to essentially use their own numerology against them. That's what he was trying to do. And that's why they killed him in the 11th month. So everything tied together with the numerology behind him, how they went and then again ended up using it against him to take him out. But Kennedy wasn't the greatest man around, okay? I heard he cheated on his wife like crazy, from what they say is. He wasn't, you could say a morally great guy. For a lot of the stuff he did, being a womanizer, stuff like that. But I don't think this is necessarily a discussion of his personal actions of how he acted. I'm simply speaking on, the cover up they did with this. And this is where it started, because when they realized they could get away with taking out a U.S. president, they knew that they're unstoppable. They can do whatever they want. And that's when you had more agencies being spawned. And here's the thing is, that's why it even showed. What did LBJ do as soon as he was sworn in as president? One of the first things he did was sign a declaration to have them go into war in Vietnam. Exactly against what Kennedy wanted to do. I mean, they covered up that crime scene so bad, they wouldn't even allow them to do an autopsy. His brain was missing. The bullet just happened to end up on a gurney. The military and the generals stole his body and threw it on a plane and took off. Sounds kind of familiar to another assassination where, just think about that. So that sound familiar, where someone's body's carted off real fast and thrown onto a plane and, flown out of state. And that person wasn't even a government official. So take an extra special think about that one. That's thought provoking in and of itself. But that's the story that they don't tell you about, is Kennedy was getting ready to uncover and expose not just the elite and dismantle them, but secret societies, all of the evil that was going on behind the scenes. He was getting ready to expose it. That's why they took him out. And that's what they're not going to tell you. But if you study it enough, I mean, this is one of the biggest conspiracies I've ever studied. I've been studying it for, over 20 years now. And I've come to find out that the official story is so beyond what actually happened that it's insane. But that's what it was. So people talk about how Trump is here to help us, that politicians, they're not here to help us. Okay? I promise you. If they were, they do what they did to Kennedy. They will take you out. Period. And then people try to think that some kid 150 feet away with an AR-22 caliber rifle couldn't have got a shot off at Trump. I mean, that's just, and nobody's seen that kid getting up on that roof with that rifle, even though, he was that close, and Secret Service seen him, everybody's seen him. So, I mean, it's just insane. We all know that was staged, for the people that are actually awake. But that's a reason why they wanted him to have that type of Kennedy aura to him, that, oh, wow, he survived an assassination attempt, or like how Reagan did. But those really did happen. And there's theories abound, like I said, with this whole JFK thing. But that's what they're not telling you, is the evil that we're seeing now was still going on back then. The secret societies, the secret oaths. He was getting ready to dismantle these organizations and shut them down. And they knew it, because they knew he was using their numerology against them. When they seen what he was doing, that's when they decided, well, that's it. We got to take this guy out. And we all see what happened. But I'm telling you, the deeper you look into the Kennedy assassination, is one of the deepest rabbit holes ever. Once you go down there, man, you could be down there for weeks just stirring around looking into stuff. Months. Just depends. But like I said, people look now at like, oh, why does the Kennedy assassination matter? We got more important stuff to worry about. Well, no, it absolutely matters, because if we don't know our history, if we don't study our history, we're bound to repeat it. So we have to study these types of things, because if we don't, we're not going to see that we really are living in a totalitarian society that's that much closer to the New World Order, which they're going to do. Look at Bush Sr., what he said. He said, we all need a New World Order, and we're going to get our New World Order. And they tell you right to their face. How many politicians go look that up, the compilation of them saying New World Order, New World Order, like a million different politicians all saying it. So the agenda's been around for a very long time, and Kennedy was completely dismantling that agenda. So they took him out. So stop thinking that these politicians that are out here are draining swamps or taking care of business or taking out their elite partners. No, like I said, they're partners. They're partners with these people. They all play this game in front of your guys' faces, but behind closed doors, they are all friends. They are all close. They're all in on it. It goes way deeper than most people could ever even imagine.